Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are excited to have Coach Barnes joining us here again. She's a life coach, a leadership development coach, and so much more, and a great friend to the show. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself. Good to hear from you again. How are you feeling? Last time we spoke, we were both battling a cold. How are you feeling?
I'm doing a little better, but I'm still under the weather. I have my ENT doctor appointment tomorrow. I'm excited because my head is still clogged. But thank you for asking. And yourself, you were on a little road trip somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I was, and still battling a cold, right? So with this new allergy season right now, it's kind of hectic, especially with my asthma and my illness. But I'm hanging in there. So those of you that are tuning in, it is the one and only Coach Barnes, founder and CEO of Gold Mine Thoughts, located in the heart of Brooklyn. I am at 55 Washington Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11201. And if you're looking for the website, it's www.goldminethoughts.com. Thanks for tuning in today.
Thank you for being here. What did you have in mind for us today? I know we always have a great conversation.
We definitely do. I'm thinking today, let's be a little less heavy. And I want to dig into our audience that are for professional development. Just our audience who are either in between jobs or just been at their job for such a long time and have been a little bit complacent, I want to say, because if the pandemic has taught us anything, it has taught us that change happens with or without us, whether we wanted to or not. And it's important for us to brush up on certain skills. So I thought today we would utilize this segment to discuss professional development and growing yourself.
Perfect, which I think a lot of people especially had to not only grow themselves, but reinvent themselves at the wheel since the pandemic and work-wise for sure.
Right. And so that I wanted to speak to the importance of brushing up your resume.
Yeah.
It is so important, right? Even for myself, I had been in the educational field for 20 plus years. And then when the pandemic and everything started happening to me, I was like, when's the last time I updated my resume? Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, like this resume is like a good 15, 20 years old. Like, okay, it's time to update it. I've accomplished so much more. I need to refresh this. So I say that to say, like, even if you are current and good and happy at the workplace that you are, it's still important to brush up your resume, especially as you're moving forward and elevating within that same company. It's still great to be able to show how awesome you are on paper as well as you are in person. Because people meet you in paper first. True. Believe it or not.
And tell me this, as far as resume, how often should you be updating it? Mine's probably like 10 years old. I don't even know. I don't even know what font to use, or I remember the way I used to have it was like my name, my address. Like it's probably all changed now. I don't know even a template at this point. So help us.
So I would definitely say Microsoft Word has a huge amount of templates on it that are very successful and structured. They're well deserving, and you can pick what caters to you. So even if you've been, let's say you've been going to school for a certain amount of years and you haven't even ventured out into the workforce yet, they have a template there that allows you to categorize your educational experience so that it looks and mimics as well as if you were writing, putting down job work experience, because you can enter the entry field with educational experience. Some especially some major corporations, they like to mold people. So what they do is they will take a certain amount of years of your educational experience and transfer it over to say that it's experience, like field work, if something like that. So I would definitely say if you are now entering the workforce, I would say try to keep your resume up to date every 6 months to 12 months. If you are someone like ourselves who have been in the field for a long time, I would say like every 2 or 3 years, polish it up, unless you change jobs, if you're current in the position. But every time you change a position, whether it's lateral or it's climbing the ladder, it's very important that you brush up your resume. It's also important is, even if you're not brushing the resume up, knowing the different styles that are out there, because you don't want to outdate yourself on paper. So in this world now, the world of social media, the world of email, the world of like people like us that are from back, like used to like paper and pen, and you send this email and you ask for an interview, you send your cover letter and your resume. A lot of things are more fast paced and changed, and we have to update ourselves with the technology. So it's important to know what that is. So don't be afraid to put together a media kit for yourself. Like if you're someone who is in the field of entertainment or podcasting or or doing blogging, anything like that, put together
a little reel.
Free tip. Canva has a lot of nice media kits on.
Who does? I'm sorry.
Free.
Who?
Canva.
Thank you.
Canva for free. You can find you a nice one, especially if you're not in a place where you can afford to have a professional do it for you.
Yep.
Right now, and I'm sharing heavy gems with you guys today. I would definitely say I'm all about helping you grow. So it's important to share little knowledge of things that I have. And this is free and it's out there, right? So why not share it? Try to do your media kit. There's also on there's templates for for resumes, there's templates for cover letters, things like that. So try polishing those things out, and then don't stop there. Send it to a friend. Send it to a friend and let them look over it with a critical eye, right? And be open to receiving the feedback so that you can grow. What we know hands down about adults, some of us don't really receive, not receptive to feedback right away, and then from someone we know, but we'll take it from a stranger. I have no idea why most people are like that, but it's important to have someone who knows you to say, okay, this is not showing who you really are. Try to add this or take this out. This doesn't apply here, so that you're not crowding your resume with things that is not applicable for the job that you're going for, right?
And by the way, how much, when's too far back? You put your first job on there?
Right.
I don't know.
So this is why this is important, right? You want to think about the job that you're applying for now, right? And so if, let's say 10 years ago, you were working in a daycare and now you're going to work at a radio station, your daycare experience does not really apply to that job. So that's something that you can kind of leave off to make room for something else, unless you were like an administrative field, because then you can say you can add a little snippet of that in there. But I wouldn't say put your teaching experience on a on a resume when you're going out to apply to work at the radio station. That might necessarily tie together. So I definitely say make sure you look at it, scale it based on the job that you're applying for, and don't overwhelm it. Your resume should never be more than, and this is heavy, 2 pages, right?
Okay.
Absolutely
not more than I can't put it on one, but I always thought it was one. And I'm like, how much smaller can you make the font?
Right. So you can't. And that's why it's important to taper it based on the skill that the requirements that they're asking for. Because if you line up your resume with what's being asked of you, you'll find out a lot of things that you have when it doesn't apply, and you can remove those things. And then those are things that you can talk about in your interview. You can say, well, by the way, I have experience.
I got,
so that allows that you to interact a little more in your resume, in your interview process, and not be so robotic.
Now, let me ask you just about resumes itself. So let's say we have a resume, but how does it work now? Because everything is like electronic. So we still need paper copies. I mean, we're emailing these things. So should it be in a Word document or PDF? What's like standard? Because that's also confusing. Some people can't open Word. Some people can't open a PDF. What do you do?
I would definitely say send it in a PDF. Send it in a PDF unless they request it to be sent to them in Word. Send in a PDF. When you go on your interview, even though you already sent it electronically, I always say still have a copy with you.
Paper copies good to have, yeah.
Have a paper copy is good to have, because you know what? Sometimes things happen. You might be young, like you might get to a place, it's a chaotic day, and they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even have a chance to print your resume. And you can say, hey, no worry. here, I printed out a copy for you. And then you take it from there. And then that shows initiative. That shows that you're prepared, and that shows that you're serious about getting a position. And then you might have some who are really tech savvy, and they're just like, all right, I read your interview. I read your resume. Let's just talk. So I should say, be prepared for both. And a big part of being prepared is cleaning up your social media, right? So often people, they blur the lines and they let their personal social media be interactive with their professional social media, and you shouldn't do so. And here's why. Most major companies will go through your social media to make sure that you're a great fit for them. And so you don't want them to find things like you hanging out with your friends and you might have a drink or something, and you don't want them to look at it like, well, I don't want that representing my company, right? So your friends and your family should be on a separate social media from your professional email, your social media. Your professional social media is about the things that you do in work. So it could be about you going to conferences. It's about you interacting with new people, networking, making connections. And that's the part that you want people to see you on a professional stage, on a professional platform, versus what you do in your personal. So you kind of want to keep the two separate. And although it may feel a little awkward, it's very important, because it only takes 11 seconds for someone to make a decision about your character based on that interaction. But then it takes 11 interactions for them to change their perspective about you. Yes, 11 seconds from the first interaction when they meet you, or if they see something about you on social media, they can say, you know what, this person's not a good fit for me, or I don't care for that. I don't want to interact with that person, or I don't like their energy. But then for you to change your mind, it takes 11 interactions. And how often, or most likely, or will you be able to come across the same person, unless you're in a circle, in the same kind of circle, 11 more times? What's the likeliness of you meeting this person that's going to interview you 11 more times?
Wow.
So it's very right. So it's very important. Very, very important.
Wow. 11. How's that? How did we get to the 11 number? That's after, I'm sure, studies after studies, but wow.
Yeah, and I was at a seminar for my own professional development a couple of years back. I want to say, dating again, right? About 10 years or so back. And I was at a session at Pace University, where I graduated from with my master's degree. And in the seminar, there was what was her name? Dr. 10 years ago, right? I can't really think. But she was giving a talk about how the importance of first impressions and how lasting they are. And she wrote a whole study about it, and it's slipping my mind, but when it comes back to me, I'll definitely send it to you. Okay. And that's where that came from. And I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that. And I grew up on the foundation of be careful how you entertain strangers, because you may be entertaining an angel, right? And so I was always mindful of that. But then to tie it into becoming a professional person, and as an adult, you start thinking, it's like, you know what? That is true. Sometimes somebody could rub me the wrong way, and I'm just like, I don't care to be bothered. And then if someone else tries to bring them along, I'm like, it's okay. I'm not going to go. I'll make excuses. I have something else to do. Or, being polite and being courteous, but it's just that I don't want to be around that person. And then it clicked for me, and I was like, wow, you know what? That is so true. That is so true. And it takes a while for you to get to know a person, especially after they have already rubbed you the wrong way.
Yeah. Wow.
I would definitely say, think about it and think about your interactions with people and see. You can test it out if you want. It's very, very true.
Got it. Wow. And just to remind everyone, Coach Barnes, how can we reach out to you? We're not going to take a break, but just want to give them that option. They're just tuning in now. They may not know who we're talking to. Please remind us of all forms of contact. Thank you.
No problem. This is Coach Barnes here. You can reach me at www.goldminethoughts.com or info@goldminethoughts.com. My social media handle is @Coach Barnes GMT. I am on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. So feel free, follow me and catch up and see what's going on with the reconditioned community.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. So today we're talking about our little professional, in a sense, leadership development as a coach,
Right.
telling us we got to kind of tweak our resumes. We got to upgrade our profiles. That's another big thing. What about LinkedIn? Is that super important nowadays? Does everybody check you out on LinkedIn? I'm not a big LinkedIn
Yes.
fan, but tell me.
Yes. LinkedIn is the way to go. A lot of companies are using LinkedIn
Okay.
to to find to find candidates for open positions that they have. It used to be that it's like, oh, go on Indeed, and now LinkedIn is the place to go. It's very important to have a professional LinkedIn page, because people scroll through, they look at the comments, they look at the things that you post. So it's extremely important. Like I said, it ties back into the social media. But keep your resume up to date on LinkedIn. Make sure you have a nice professional profile picture up on LinkedIn. Make sure everything that you have is accurate. Make sure that your email address is correct. Make sure that your telephone number is correct, because a lot of people are getting interviews from LinkedIn.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Because that's one thing I have to work on and do a little upgrading for. Nowadays also you got to be careful in the professional world. What about social media? Because you have people looking at your pages. So any advice for those, if you're going for a corporate job and they're going to search and troll around the internet, what are some things we should not be posting?
Right. And so I definitely say it's very important to, again, separate the two. Have your professional social media account and your personal social media account. So
Got
I
it.
would say lock your personal social media account so that people have to request to get into your personal. That way, that allows you to see, and people can't just pop up and be like, oh, this is what she does in her spare time, or he does in his spare time, because you're having fun with your friends, with your family, you taking pictures, or whatever. You may be drinking, you may not be drinking. It's up to you. You may be on the beach, but you don't want your fun, down, relaxed personal time to coincide with your professional time. So I would definitely say lock your personal social media so that not everyone can just have access to it. They have to request for it, and then have your professional social media and link that to your LinkedIn. So they're all together ultimately. The social media, the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, not Twitter, but Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram are pretty much all linked together. So you can link them, and then if they have access to one, they can have access to the other two. But I would definitely say make sure, again, that it's professional and it's aligned. Make sure it's professional and aligned.
Got it. Okay, good to know. Thank you. What other advice do you have for those out there in the workforce looking to revamp themselves? What other tips? What should we be doing?
You should definitely be looking for different professional development courses. So brush up on your skills, see what skills are new that's out there, see what skills that you have that may be dated. Definitely look into some of these. They have a couple of courses that's online that are not that expensive to take. They're under $100 or so, and it'll allow you to polish up on your Microsoft Word, your Microsoft Office. It allows you to polish up on your public speaking, your interactions, effective communication, things of that nature. So polishing up on all those skills. That is if you don't have a coach that's allowing you, like that's helping you to go through that. Hopefully you will look into me, Coach Barnes, Gold Mind Thoughts, www.goldmindthoughts at gmail. I mean, sorry, www.goldmindthoughts.com. And let's get you squared away. However, until you're able to do so, I definitely say never give up learning. I call myself a lifelong learner, and that's because I'm always polishing my skills and I'm always open and willing to grow. And that's very important for you as an individual to always be willing to grow, because if you feel like you've learned everything, then where you go from there, right?
Yeah, true. And like by the way, I just found out recently, I didn't know this, but at your local library, they offer free courses also to brush up on, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's whatever program, computers, cell phones. Like there's always a class, and there's also educational classes about travel, about hobbies, and like just to immerse yourself in it. They're free. I was shocked. I didn't realize this, but I was reading the community newsletter, and they have all these different computer classes, and even adults are learning how to use computers, software, and it's like, wow, this is Adobe Photoshop. You can learn. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting that, sometimes it doesn't take a lot to learn, but why not? And then you can add that to your resume and that's the other thing. At the end of the resume, do you also add additional skills, or what was the last part of the resume? What should it be?
It was always it was always the soft skills that you have, right?
Yes.
So like you say, I am a team player. I'm fluent or proficient in Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, things of that nature. So you want to make sure that you do become fluent in those things, because a lot of times they're gonna test you on it. So you want to make sure that anything that you put on your resume is accurate and it's true. All right. You don't look don't what you say, don't spruce it up so much to where you can't do the things that you're saying that you're doing, because people will, when you go on an interview, sometimes they might say, you know what, I'm going to move you to stage 2. Here's this project I want you to complete. And they may want you to complete the project on the spot, right? And should you do have a project to complete on the spot and you don't have the skills to do, that's not gonna go well in your favor. So you want to make sure that anything that you put on your resume, you're able to actually do. And you made a great point, right? Subscribe to your local newspaper, because there's a lot of great things in your local newspaper that are in your area that you may not be aware of, and so subscribe to your local newspaper so that you can find access to those free things. Like I recently just found out, if you had a New York Access ID card, that you can get into museums free. I had no idea about that. So it's like, right. So here I am, paying this hefty subscription to go to museums. And I'm like, I could be doing this for free, but if you don't know, and if you don't reach out for it, then, or you don't search for it, then you won't know, so that's why it's really important to stay informed about the things that are happening in your community, whether it's locally or whether it's in other surrounding communities around you. Just get involved, and don't be afraid to volunteer, reach out, join some type of group, or what you say yourself, for your community service, because those things, not only do they look well on your resume, you'd be surprised about the people that you meet, right? And you'll be surprised about the doors that can open for you from those little interactions. All right. So while you are, yes, being a great person by volunteering, it's also an opportunity for you to network and meet other people who might be volunteering from different areas, that can help you grow. Iron sharpens iron, right? So you want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself by others who are pushing themselves as well as willing to push you.
Excuse me, having a coughing fit. Try to cover it. I need more water myself. Good. And just by the way, your background for new listeners, just tell us a little bit about what brought you here, in a sense. I know already, but new people may not. Just tell us a little bit about yourself as a leadership development and life coach, and where it all came from.
Right. And so if you're just tuning in, I am Coach Barnes, located in Brooklyn, New York. I am not only a leadership development coach, but a life coach. I have been coaching and teaching in the educational field for 20 plus years. Yes, I know it doesn't look like or sound like, but yes, for 20 plus years. And I am now moving out of the classroom so that I can help individuals like you, so that I can be more of an open vessel to help you fill your cup. That is, whether you're developing your communication skills, your leadership skills, your staff, or if you just need help in your life period and then wants to uncover the traumas, and so that you can move from the shadow to the light, however you need to develop yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself. Coach Barnes is the way to go. I am located at 55 Washington Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11201. My website is www.goldminethoughts.com. You can email me at info@goldminethoughts.com and follow me on social media at Coach Barnes GMT.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Still got 5 minutes left of the show, though. We're not done yet. What other advice did you have for us today on the business development front?
I would definitely say polish up those headshots. I don't
Oh,
know when I don't know when the last time you took some, but I would definitely say every year or so, polish up your headset.
mine are like 10
Polish.
years old, and I had to just send it to someone because I was hosting an event, and I'm like, I don't look like that anymore, do I? It's always misleading.
Right. So, and it's not only about being misleading, it's more so about you being able to show your growth, right? So, the more you develop yourself, the more pride you begin to take in your career, right? So you want to be able to show that through your photo and through your eyes. So that's why I say definitely polish up your headshots. And it doesn't necessarily have to be every year. You can skip it maybe once every 3 years or so. But I definitely say the more you revamp yourself, you want to make sure that you exude in that and people can see that your happiness on paper, right? On paper, in person, whatever it is. And even if you are developing and you're trying to get to a happy space, use that time to pour love onto yourself. Sometimes you need to see yourself for you to realize the change that you're making. And headshots can do that. Because if you look at yourself in a photo, sometimes you'll be like, wow, like what was going on in my mind at that time?
Yeah,
Have you ever
yeah.
done that, Jill? I know I've done that before. I've looked at a photo and I said, wow, I don't know. Is there something there? Well, I wonder what I was thinking at that time. Well, I wonder what's going on. And then it helps you to think about things and unpack other things to help polish you and bring you forward. So I would definitely say take the chance and take a chance on yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Take a chance on yourself.
Beautifully said. Thank you. And if someone does want to reach out to you, the process of working with you, you normally, I mean, I guess it's different for each, if it's a life coaching issue, if it's a business, but to work on someone's resume, to help them develop those, how long does that usually take? How many sessions?
If it's just like we're working on a resume and brushing you up, maybe about 3 or 4 sessions, just so that we could do mock interviews. I can help you to be able to craft your elevator
Ah,
pitch.
what,
Help you
what, what
craft.
is it? What is an elevator pitch?
Okay, awesome. I'm glad you asked that. So an elevator pitch is you to be able to market yourself to someone with under 2 minutes, right? So it's under and
Ah,
3 minutes top. So it's based on, like I say, an elevator ride, typically from the first to the 14th floor, you would say is maybe about 1.5 to 2 minutes, depending on if it has to stop on other floors, 3 minutes, right?
oh,
So you want to be able
oh.
to get across who you are, what do you stand for, and what it is that you want to do within that time frame. So that's why it's called the elevator pitch, because you want to be able to share that fast, catch someone's attention, but not to the point to where it's like they're stuck and then they have to cut you off.
God, I never knew that. So you got to be able to, that's also so hard to do. At least for me, I don't like talking about myself, but you have to present who you are and
And
you
that's
got to
why
be
it's great when you
confident
look
about it. Yes.
right. And so when you look at your resume, and you go by the largest pinpoints buckets, you can then cut down your elevator pitch, because a lot of your other jobs will fall under certain jobs. So you want to highlight the big ones and highlight those skills. And then, you say like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I can do. This is what I can offer for your company. Should you be interested, please give me a call. Have your business card ready. I know a lot of times now in this world, everybody's like, oh, use virtual business card. I am very a tangible person, so I like to have one, but you can have both. So you can say, I'll drop you my pen, I'll drop you my virtual card or something like that. But it allows you to have that interaction and leave an impression on a person.
Beautifully said. Thank you. All right. So if we want to reach out again, Coach Barnes, tell us Goldmine thoughts.
Yes, www.goldminethoughts.com, info@goldminethoughts.com. Follow me on social media at Coach Barnes GMT. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Oh, thank you. You too. I'm looking forward. Are we on again next week? Is it?
Yes, yes, we
Oh,
are.
I'm like, wait, is it every week? It is. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And looking forward to it. Hope you have a great week. And by the way, any more travels for you coming up? Or that was just for the holiday weekend?
Oh, no, I actually have a speaking engagement in Texas in July.
Oh, good. On what? Just curious.
So I'm going to speak on trauma and how it affects your mindset, and how
Wow.
you can come out of how you can navigate through loving yourself through the trauma. So it's tied to my book,
Yeah.
Grieving to Heal, the Shadow Boarding Experience. So I have a speaking engagement on that.
Congrats. That is awesome. What a great topic. All right. Looking
Thank you
forward to
so
talking
much.
more about it. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.